Oh my God, sometimes I don't like what I do. But big dog, we really got to talk about this, and this is just as important, if not more important than these cards. We got to talk about the big C word, and I really wish it was Crippen. That would have been so much easier. What's going on with ya, big dog? It is an amazing Tuesday. I hope you are having an amazing Tuesday, and if you aren't, don't let the beginning of this Tuesday ruin the rest of your Tuesday, big dog. Speaking of ruining days, I don't want you to travel hundreds to thousands of miles to go to YCS Pasadena or Las Vegas or basically any YCS event only to be turned away because you aren't vaccinated. That's right, unfortunately for some, if you wish to attend any major YCS event coming up this year, you need to be vaccinated, and there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. For context, your boy has rheumatoid arthritis, an autoimmune disease. Think about what I just said, autoimmune disease. You would think that I'd be one of those vaccinated exempt people, right? No. And trust me, guys, I'm not an anti-vaxxer. I just don't do needles. I did everything in my power to try to convince my doctor, like, yo, I don't need it. And she was like, nah, you can get it. Her fine ass don't know she could get it. But to keep it 100 with you guys, I really do see both sides of the story. On one side, it is scientifically proven if you do have the vaccine, you are way less likely to suffer any severities from COVID. On the other side, there's the Tuskegee experiment. And if you don't know what the Tuskegee experiments are, then, I know the US system has failed you, but you really need to look up the Tuskegee experiments. So I really could see both arguments, factual evidence and distrust for the government. Unfortunately, you need to be vaccinated, and yeah, boy did it himself. I was actually quite shocked that it wasn't even painful. I didn't feel anything, and the symptoms, they didn't exist. I did already have COVID 3 times, so I guess that would help. And just in case you feel one way or another for that, I just wanted to spread that information to you. In order to play at YCS events, you do need to be vaccinated, just like you might need these cards for 2022 if you are planning on attending any of these events. That's right, so now that I got that shit out of the way, we can talk about the cards that you need for 2022. This is probably the best time to pick them up because they cheap. So without further ado, let's jump on in. So the cards I'm going to mention to you feel like an absolute must, not only because I don't think you'll be able to get them for cheaper than this, I don't think that they'll be reprinted fairly soon. Take, for example, Pot of Extravagance, a card that was $100 per copy, now is $14 as a maximum gold rare. If there was ever a card that said Pot of Greed without saying Pot of Greed, this is your chance, as banishing 6 cards from your extra deck, especially for a deck that doesn't need its extra deck, literally just says draw 2 cards. Pot of Extravagance is an essential card for some of those easier or budget-friendly / beginner decks. This is definitely a card that feels like an absolute must to pick up if you are preparing to start your journey for 2022. The next card is kind of under the radar, as a lot of players are focusing on Forbidden Droplet inside of the Brothers of Legend set. This card was mega expensive just recently, as Nibiru the Primal Being is a card that you are definitely going to need for the 2022 season. What Nibiru does for you Yugi Zoomers that are just getting into the game, you beginners, is it allows you to summon a healthy rock to the side of the field after the opponent has summoned more than 5 times. This is really good for being able to stop those combo-based strategies, decks that want to play a whole bunch of monsters to their side of the field and will lose their board presence by giving them a healthy do you smell what the rock is cooking. This is also about the cheapest that Nibiru has ever been, at about $10 per copy. The Brothers of Legend set actually gave some really good reprints for cards, and Nibiru is definitely one of them. I think that is a card that is going to be really important going into 2022 because decks won't stop comboing off, and decks will always lose to Nibiru that do combo off. And almost every deck that relies on a ton of monsters has to face the fact that Nibiru is a card that is here to stay inside of this Yu-Gi-Oh card game. Another hand trap that actually got blinged out, boys, is Psy-Frame Gear Gamma. Now, Psy-Frame Gear Gamma comes Ultra, it comes Super, it even comes Collector's Rare, and if you got some, hit your boy up, because I'm looking for some collectors. I just ain't trying to pay that price. If you want some Gammas that are a better rarity than rare, then pick up Gold Rare Gammas before, Gold Rare stops being printed. Psy-Frame Gear Gamma is easily one of the best Yu-Gi-Oh hand traps in the card game. I would also suggest picking up Psy-Frame Lord Lambdas because while they're not competitive right now, this just feels like a good time to get it, as it's literally a rare as opposed to its secret rare counterpart. Now, unless they ban this card in 2022, it's a card that you should always at least have one copy of, as Predaplant Vert Anaconda has found its way into way too many competitive strategies, allowing you to send a polymerization or fusion spell card from your deck to the graveyard. Cards like Super Polymerization and Fusion Destiny are like the best targets with it so far, but that doesn't mean that's where this card stops. Originally, our Anaconda was used to send Red Eye's Fusion from the deck to the graveyard. So imagine, as long as they keep printing spell cards with Fusion or Polymerization in its card text, well, this card will be good. I genuinely think that Predaplant Vert Anaconda is a card that should be banned. It is a ridiculous Yu-Gi-Oh card, but as long as it exists off the forbidden list, then yeah, it should be a card that you should probably be picking up. On top of that, Anacondas are only about $11 right now. That's cheaper than it's ever been, ever. Now, I have not mentioned any extra deck cards because most of them are fairly cheap. One card that you should definitely look into, because I don't feel that's getting another reprint anytime soon, is Divine Arsenal AA Zeus. This card is amazing, being able to Dark Hole and Heavy Storm the entire board with Xe material? Dog! And it's sitting at an all-time low of $13. This is a card that not only did I pick up for the budget series, I feel that you should pick up for your series. Seriously. Zeus is a card that feels like that really important extra deck card that you needed to get, similar to how Boral Sword was, like how Apollosa was, like how Borreload was, like how every year we get one of those cards and then you probably just, you know, get a nice rarity of it before it goes back up. If getting some of those high-end hand traps has been a problem, well, this is the perfect time to scoop up one of the best hand traps in the history of Yu-Gi-Oh! Infinite Impermanence is that card that you 100% need in 2022. Not only does it allow you to negate an opponent's monster effect, it dodges cards like Call by the Grave and Triple Tactics Talent, seeing that it is a trap card that is activated from your hand, but it also is a card that comes in a super rare inside of a structure deck. It's currently only an $8 Yu-Gi-Oh card, the cheapest that it's ever been in its existence, and I remember another particular hand trap that was reprinted inside of a structure deck that was also really cheap when the structure deck existed. Huh. In case you didn't know, Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring was a common inside of a way better structure deck, and this card soared to $20 each. I think right now is the perfect time for you to get Infinite Impermanences before it has that Ash Blossom and Joyous Spring effect, a card that will soon go a lot higher in price, seeing that it is one of the best hand traps overall in the Yu-Gi-Oh card game. And the last thing you should pick up for 2022 won't necessarily be cheap, but it'll be so much worth. I remember not too long ago, the Dogmatica engine was over $300 when the Dear Servants themselves costing $70 each. Now you can pick up the Dogmatica engine for about 60 bucks maybe? And that's if you decide to get 3 Nadir Servants, 3 secret rare Dogmatica Ecclesia, as well as all of the extra cards. You'll be spending around that $60 price range for it, but if you decide to just get 1 Ecclesia, 3 Nadir Servants, and all of the Dogmatica cards, you'll be spending around $40. This is such a really good buy, not only because the Dogmatica cards seem to be an engine, like how Invoked is an engine that's splashed and everything. It's just a really good group of cards that aren't being printed in the Albaz structure deck, and seeing that this does tie to the Albaz lore, these cards may see a significant spike in price, which means you just might be assed out by the time that structure deck gets here. And that is all that I have for the cards that you are going to need for 2022. These cards are fairly cheap and easy to access right now, but I can't necessarily promise that once competitive play starts, especially once live competitive play starts and YCS games. Of course, if you want to see more amazing CaliEffect content, go ahead and check out these videos, as I'll catch you on the next one.